Hello my dolls and welcome to the Cello Doll YouTube channel. If you've clicked on this video, congratulations! You want to work on your tuning and your intonation, and I think that is incredible. So I'm going to attempt to explain some general concepts of intonation and to really condense it, God help me, because it can be a really big, overwhelming topic, and I will say this is a lifelong skill. I work on intonation for at least 50% of my practicing, if not more like 60 to 70%. So no matter what level you are or how many years you've been playing, intonation will be something that you will constantly work on. It's a lot better to accept that fact now than to resist. So come to me, my dolls, and let's talk some intonation. Now, before we get to all the details, please be sure to give this video a thumbs up and to subscribe to the Cello Doll channel to show your support. That would be incredible. If you want to go above and beyond, I do have a Patreon where Shelly and I give exclusive goodies to our patrons, so you can check that out below in the description. So the reason I'm making this video is kind of an introduction to a new set of exercises that I will be making that focuses on intonation. Some of you dolls have been wanting intonation tips, and this video is kind of a way to get people on the same page and to offer some general tips. To start off, you can work on intonation no matter what level you are at. I can't stress that enough. It seems like a really high level advanced technique, and it can be, but there are ways you can work on intonation just in first position alone. Intonation is also an incredible way to train your ear and being sensitive to pitch adjustment and what key you're in, but it is just so important in your overall development as a musician. So the big point I want to make in this video is that there are two types of intonation or tuning methods. I didn't learn about these until I was in college, so I'm going to try to condense it in a way that is really easy to understand. So in traditional classical music settings, you will encounter what is known as equal tempered tuning and just tuning. I'll start out with equal tempered. If you were to take your handy dandy tuner, if you were to play every single note, all different pitches, so that the needle is constantly in the middle, that is equal tempered tuning. Instruments that use this type of tuning are mostly keyboard instruments like pianos, harp, or percussion instruments like marimbas and xylophones. A general reason for that is because those instruments can't adjust their tuning, right? They play a note and it's out there. They can't wiggle around the pitch. For string players, if we put our finger on a note, we can come forward or back, pivot around the pitch and adjust. So having each note in the very center of its individual pitch, that's very important. That helps the instrument to be able to play kind of a diplomatic, all right tuning across every possible key, major, minor, etc. So to sum it up, equal tuning is focusing on the intonation of each individual pitch on its own. So next we have just intonation, which is when we tune notes in relation to another pitch. So there are some multi-note relations going on, whereas with equal tuning, it was just looking at one note on its own. So if we were to take the example of an octave, let's say C to C, and if you were to take the Hertz measurement of the top C and put it with the Hertz measurement of the lower C, you would get a perfect fraction or ratio. Well, now we're getting into the world of intervals. That's simply the distance between a pair of notes. So, for example, a second is C to D, 1, 2. Then C, D, E, 3 notes is a third. and so on and so forth. So it's just counting the space between each note. Some intervals do not come out to a nice, neat whole number fraction. And that's just math for you dolls. You can't even avoid it in music. So in order to get a whole number fraction, some of our intervals have to be adjusted a little bit. So if we do have a fraction with two whole numbers, that means the sound waves between the two pitches will have more spots where they line up, intersect, and create a more resonant sound. So in order to have just intonation, you need to know what your bass note is. So where are you relating all of your pitches? And you need to know when you have to raise a pitch a little bit or lower. And this also gets into interpretation, analyzing what key you're in your music. It can become quite a process. So to give you a musical example of this, if I were to go back to that C major scale, we want the C, right? If you were to stop on that B, you would feel this pull and you would want the top C to happen. In order to intensify that tension, sometimes if I have the seventh, in this case our B, I might raise it just a tiny microscopic bit. So that is one example out of countless, but you can really create a unique interpretation with your tuning. Now, I will say you can't play a note to the point where it sounds like a completely different pitch. It's something that takes a lot of time, and again, with ear training and experience. So that brings me to my other point of what type of tuning do I use? Well, it depends on who you are playing with. If you're playing a piece with an instrument that can't adjust, a sonata for cello and piano, I am at the mercy of that piano's tuning. And that often involves a lot of hours of rehearsal dedicated to tuning with the piano, in addition to working with your tuner. Now, for just tempered tuning, that is seen in orchestras, chamber music such as string quartets, places where we have instruments that can adjust their tuning on the fly as they are playing. Another tendency to use just intonation is when you are playing a solo unaccompanied work, like the Bach cello suites. That is an excellent example of where I use just intonation in my playing. So, why did I go through all of this? I think it's very important for you dolls to know as you develop. And also these exercises I'm going to be making will be based mostly on just intonation. So now that you dolls have been hearing me talkity talk and your brain might be kind of scrambled, I'm going to give some general tips to help you get started when we have the perfect intervals. An example I gave at the start was the octave. The other two are perfect fourths, so C, D, E, F. That was not even at pitch, but I'm just counting C to F, and then G, C, D, E, F, G. That's a fifth. We have perfect octaves, perfect fourths, and perfect fifths. If you can get those under your belt, you are in a really great place. So the easiest place to start with that is the octave. You're playing two of the same notes. One is higher, one is lower. It is super obvious to the ear when that is out of tune. And you have 4 tuners on your instrument. Did you know that? I don't know if you knew that. You have a tuner of A, a tuning of D, G, and C. Your open strings! Your open strings are an incredible resource for practicing your intonation. I use them every day. I'm not even kidding. So whenever you encounter a pitch that matches one of your open strings, use it. And another thing that's kind of cool about open strings, if you play a note and the tuning is excellent, you will actually see your open string having a bit of a ghost vibrato. So if you listen really carefully, I'm about to play an A. Did you hear a higher pitch that sounded like that? I didn't play that string. My A is in tune, so my open A string is kind of giving a little twang-a-lang along with it. There are tricks like these that you can use in your practice room. For now, we are going to be focusing on how to practice your intonation using your instrument. So my dolls, I hope this video was helpful. I tried to take a topic that can be dry and make it kind of fun and quirky because, again, it is super important knowledge. So I hope you're not bored. I hope you're still here with me. And I hope you're excited for these exercises. I've been brainstorming some fun ideas for you. All levels of development can work on intonation, so expect some exercises coming soon. Once again, I am the Cello Doll, and welcome. If you are new to this channel, please subscribe and like the video, and also you can check me out on Facebook and Instagram. Thank you all so much. Happy practicing, and get ready because some intonation work is coming your way. Bye.